Hello, everybody. Welcome to a Thursday edition of the Computer America Show. A slight schedule change. Gene Steinberg is going to be with us here tomorrow night. We had to switch, and Ralph Bond, who was going to be on last night, is on tonight. So that was due to a death in the family for Gene. So best wishes to him and on that. And he will be with us tomorrow night to talk about all the cool Apple stuff. But meantime, we have Ralph Bond. So sit back. We'll be starting in about 30 seconds. Oh, gosh, and we... What is it with Blog Talk? Why am I getting dropped like this?
Your show is scheduled to start in 14 seconds. It appears that the host has already dialed into this show. Only one host is allowed per show. Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio.
God.
Goodbye.
Broadcasting live, it's America's longest-running national radio talk show on computers, Computer America.
Since it appears you're
Hosted by
calling back
national
into a live
columnist
show,
Craig
we are
Crossman.
reconnecting
Look
you
for
now.
Craig's weekly column in your favorite newspaper. This show is being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. Keep it here for technology news, computer products, guest interviews, and you're listening to America.
Hello, and welcome into the Computer America Show. It's the nation's longest-running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. Computer America is heard around the world and coast to coast. And I'm your host, Craig Crossman.
And I'm your co-host, Ben.
And Ben, you look like you're at the beach.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
kind of nice.
It is kind of nice out there. You got a nice beach in the background, and the ocean. It looks like you're having nice time there.
It's a weird feature in Google Hangouts. It's a weird feature.
Well, yes, if you're watching our live video streaming page, Ben looks like he's now at the beach. And we had a lot, our technology is really weird. Just like 5 seconds before we went on the air, Blog Talk Radio, we got dropped, but we're back and connected again. But welcome into a Thursday edition of the Computer America Show. Hopefully nothing else will go wrong and everything else will stay right. And let's see. I mentioned we had the schedule change, and let's see, we've also, it is the one more night, tomorrow night is the last night for our big Logitech contest where we're giving away 3 great prizes. We've updated the Logitech page to reflect more of the information. You can see the prizes, you can click on them and go to the page and you can see the value. So we updated that as well. And let's see, what else? Well, we'll get started momentarily here. If you have a comment, question, or suggestion for anything we're talking about tonight with our guest, you can call us at 347-884-8881. That's 347-884-8881. I'll get you on and get you through. We also have email, live@computeramerica.com. Okay. You can also join us in our live interactive IRC chat room. From our homepage at computeramerica.com, just click the live video and chat button. And you'll see on the left, there's 2 things there, the chat room and the live video. On the chat room, the left side, you just put in a nickname. That's the name you'll be known by when you go into the chat room. There's a CAPTCHA number that you have to type in, and don't click the reload button, it'll just put another number in. Just type in the number, and then click in the connect button, and your browser will move you right into the chat room. Also, we've added a button there now. It says click for IRC clients. So if you click on that, you'll see at the bottom of that page, our free software page, we have Chatzilla that you can download. HexChat is up there, and MIRC. We took some of the 3 more popular ones, and for Windows or for Mac, and or for Linux, you can see them. And of course, which particular browser you can just, and what that basically does, it just formats the chat room more nicely. So it's a nicer chat room experience. But you don't need them. It's just optional. So that's our chat room, and of course, right alongside of it is our live streaming video page, and that's brought to you by Otherworld Computing, the award-winning Otherworld Computing. Quality products, expert support since 1988. They're now celebrating its 25th anniversary. Please visit them at www.macsales, M-A-C-S-A-L-E-S, for all.com for all your computing needs. By the way, we also have a link there right under the live streaming video, so you can check out their website for all your Mac needs, all your PC needs, Windows needs, your PlayStation 4 needs, what am I leaving? Oh, Xbox One, you name it. They have products. They have hard drives. They have memory, everything that you need to enhance them. They even have their own YouTube video section, so you can actually see how to install anything you purchase from them. They have their blog there. Anything you order over $49, you get free ground shipping. That means about 80% of the country you get your product in 2 days. So it's really great. Again, check them out at www.macsales.com. You'll be happy that you did. Okay. So I think that's everything. So let's let's introduce our guest for the evening.
Real quick.
Oh yes, what is that?
How disappointed are you that you have to wait another day to talk about all the new Apple announcements?
Yeah, those tick marks are going to get bigger and bigger. That you're
Yeah, I know. We're up to 378. It's getting crowded over here.
Yeah, he keeps a little check mark every time I mention Apple. So
Getting pretty bad.
yeah, let's. Oh, we know what that music means. It's Bond, and Bond is back. Yes, and we've got him on tonight's show. He's Ralph Bond. Ralph Bond is a correspondent for the Computer America show and is the author of Family Computer Fun, Digital Ideas Using Your Photos, Movies and Music by Q Publishing. He's also the co-author of the PC Dad's Guide to Becoming a Computer Smart Parent by Dell Publishing. Ralph was Intel's Consumer Education Manager for more than 10 years, and for nearly the past 7 years, he's been part of the Autodesk's communications team. And he's back from sabbatical. Ralph, welcome into Computer America. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm almost back from sabbatical. Monday morning, I go back to work.
Yeah,
Oh, it's okay. I had a wonderful, get this, 6 weeks. 6 weeks
wow.
of time off, including 10 days in Ireland at the beginning of the whole 6-week pattern, as you and I were speaking about that earlier today separately.
Wow.
And a lot of fun. And it's funny when you were introducing me, you said you started to say James Bond.
Yeah, I know.
I'll give you an old guy story. Now, Ben, once upon a time, Ben, long ago in a galaxy far, far away, there was something called the draft.
It sounds familiar.
Yes. So I was going to get drafted. I joined the National Guard. This is during the Vietnam War. I wound up doing basic training in Fort Ord, California. And the drill instructors, of course, I mean, these guys are all crazy guys. They see my name, Bond. Of course, I'm no longer Ralph Bond. I'm little James's, I was James Bond's little brother, Jimmy.
Yeah.
And so they started calling me, they'd either call out and roll call. I kid you not, the roll call would be, Henderson, Mike, here, little Jim or little Jimmy or James's little brother. And I'd have to go, yes, I'm here. And then the rest of the guys thought my name was Jimmy. So when I graduated from basic training, which is sort of like graduating from high school, kind of, my mother and my sister come up to see the ceremony and all this good stuff. And my mom says, why are these guys all calling you Jimmy? I said, oh, yeah, it's all this James Bond stuff. You get the picture. So I just had to share that old story with you. And Ben, you can Google and find out what the draft was. Yeah. And probably like my son, you'll say, you can't be serious. They actually made people go into the military?
What?
What?
Who doesn't know about the draft?
Oh, well, then I'll tell you what, there's a lot of young people, you say the draft to them, they go, huh?
Yeah.
Really?
They think it's something when you leave the window open.
Or something to do with the NFL.
Exactly.
What was that? I heard the story when Robin Williams was drafted. He said that his draft number was he was 250 something. He's like, so they had to be coming from Kansas for him to get drafted. He was
That's
really
the
low in the
lottery.
draft.
What you're talking about there is the lottery. That was the tail end of it. The tail end of the draft, they converted it into this because before, little history lesson, very quick, guys. Some of the younger listeners may not know this. Once upon a time, they had this draft. Then, if you were a college student, you got a deferment.
Yeah.
Or if you were married, you got a deferment. Mm-hmm. Well, they realized that was so horribly unfair. Congress, in their infinite wisdom, came up with something called the lottery. So you didn't have student deferment or married deferments anymore if you were a young man of a certain age range. Your name was like in this ping pong ball drawing thing. They actually had lottery night on national television.
Yeah,
where they would call out all the eligible numbers.
it was
based
one
on-
you did not want to win that lottery.
Yeah, so I was in a number very, very low, and I was very, very lucky to be able to get into the National Guard, which was not easy during the Vietnam War. That was what people were all trying to do, and I was lucky enough to get in. But yeah, the lottery, that's crazy days.
Well, let me just tell you now, interesting nostalgia. That what I want to tell people to do is you can follow along with all the things we're going to talk about tonight, and we make it really simple. And that, first of all, if you go to our show notes page, and it's right there again from ComputerAmerica.com, you'll see the show notes page. You'll see tonight's show, which is 9/11. Oh, by the way, it is 9/11.
Yes.
Something about that too.
Yeah.
Exactly. 9/11 is the date of the show, and of course the horrible 9/11 events that happened back. Now Ben was young enough, is not too young. He remembers 9/11. So
I was in 5th grade.
you were in 5th grade. So
I was in 5th grade. My 5th grade teacher, everyone pulled out their big CRT TVs and they all tuned into the local channel because they were playing all the coverage on it. But our 5th grade teacher actually pulled out headphones on like a Walkman or something, and he listened to the radio version of it, and he left all of us sitting there in the classroom not knowing. Well, he said what was going on. They made the announcements that everyone's going home, but he just didn't want his kids watching that stuff at school.
Yeah.
So.
Well, yeah, it's a good judgment.
A dark day. Hard to imagine 13 years ago now. Gosh.
Yep.
Well. Okay, so as I mentioned, you go to the show notes page, you see today's date, 9/11, and you'll see Ralph Bonnet. And by the way, Ralph has a new website from Wix.com. You can go and see it.
Yeah.
Very, very nice. And you have Computer America Radio up there, so you can actually listen to shows that Ralph was on. Very, very nice. I guess you're just starting to do it, but there's a link there. And then the other thing, of course, is the cheat notes. It says right at the bottom of the paragraph, you just click on that, and it'll open up a Google Docs document, and you'll be able to see everything we're talking about on tonight's show. You will see, for example, not only the pictures, the description of what we're talking about and the article, but in most cases you'll see a picture, and most importantly, you'll even get a link. So if you want to see more information about what we're talking tonight, again, it's all up the show notes on our cheat notes at ComputerAmerica.com. Just go to the show notes page. You'll see the cheat notes there, and you can download them for yourself. So I think that about starts it off. And now, obviously, tomorrow, as I said, we had a schedule change. Gene Steinberg, who was originally scheduled to be here tonight, he had a death in the family, and again, our hearts go out to him and for that as well. But he is going to be a trooper, and he is going to be with us tomorrow. He's going to talk about all the things that happened on the Tuesday Apple event. We're going to talk about the products and services and everything, and what that's going to mean to you as a consumer. And one of the things that they unveiled, again, if you don't know this, one of the things they unveiled was called the Apple Watch, and that was huge, and they got standing ovations and screaming and shouting and hair pulling out, and it was wonderful. And we'll get into details, but what I was saying before that event is one of the things that I thought was really great in the wake of all these other smart watches that have been out here, which I think are most of the parts disasters. They're clunky, they look awful, the interface is terrible, they don't work very well. The Moto 360 was the only watch that I said, I said, if Apple doesn't come out with a watch, this might be a watch that I would be interested in, because it looks like a watch. It's round, it's thinner, it's not a big clunky thing on your wrist. And that's our first story for the evening. So why don't you tell us more about it, Ralph?
Yeah, you're so right. And of course, the Apple Watch is very exciting. And wait a minute, I have one. No, not one of the ones that are coming. This is an iPod Shuffle stuck in a watch band made for that purpose. And it works like a champ. Oh, well. I can plug my headphones into it while I'm doing vacuuming around the house and look like an idiot and sing along with the Rolling Stones and whatever. But for the first story here, a Motorola, the Moto 360. This is a story I picked up from TechCrunch magazine, a story by John Briggs, and was published on the 5th of September, and it's called Moto 360, the first it's claimed to be the first round shape smart watch, and we've got the link in the show notes. So like Craig was saying, go get those show notes because you'll have the pictures, you'll have the text, and equally important, the links to the original posting. So that's really important. So here's what John had to say in his article just back on the 5th, just on the eve of the Apple announcement. He said, as we approach the peak smartwatch at the Apple event next week, and again, the story was posted on September the 5th, so you have to understand the time frame, manufacturers are racing to offer a product to those who might not want to bow down to Cupertino in the coming months. So, again, an alternative to the Apple Watch, he's contending. The latest contender is the Moto 360, a steel and leather beauty that launched today, again on the 5th of September, alongside the new Motorola X. He says, although I've been duly impressed with the Samsung Gear series, now I don't think a lot of reviewers have been, but he apparently thought it was good, you will immediately notice that the design language of the 360 is far more chic. Made of a round piece of coated steel and featuring a nice leather band and Gorilla Glass crystal. That's a smart move. How does it work? Well, if you're not familiar with the vagaries of Android Wear, not very well at first. So he's just warning readers that if you're not very comfortable with Android interface and Android Wear, in particular, you might find this a little difficult at first. The interface consists of notifications that appear over the various watch faces available, as well as a voice-activated screen, I like that allows you to ask for various pieces of information. For example, you can ask Google for directions delivered indirectly by your phone, by the way, so it's a symbiotic relationship with your smartphone. You can ask it to take a note or send a text. You can look things up. You can also tell the time just by lifting your wrist. Very important point. I'm really sensitive to this. I think this little iPod Shuffle in this watch band is cute, but if I want to know what time it is, I have to press the button to see what time it is. I can't just, look at it like I would a normal watch, and sometimes if you're driving and what have you, that's inconvenient. So you just lift up this Moto 360 watch and you will see the time immediately. He goes on to say, unfortunately, the interface tends to dump back to the default time screen if something isn't understood, which is quite frustrating. So if you issue it a voice command and it doesn't understand what you're saying, instead of saying, I don't know what you're saying, or say it again, or whatever, it just goes back to the timepiece display. Says voice recognition has been consistently good on the Moto 360, but sometimes it will activate too soon, resulting in something like OK Google, text OK Google appearing on the screen. And then in terms of pricing, I did a little bit of research that unfortunately I didn't have in the show notes, but I just did it late this evening, and it's going to be about $250, roughly speaking, for this particular watch. So, it's just an interesting product market segment to watch, this whole smartwatch thing, but I think your guys are right. Get out to mark down a check mark for me here, Ben. I'm going to say Apple a couple of times. The Apple smartwatch, Apple. Keep doing it. Apple. No, I don't count. It's only your father. I get it. Okay. So the Apple smartwatch, I think, though, with its installed user base and the comfort of the interface and stuff, I predict is probably going to be a very successful, probably going to be the most successful smartwatch to date once it rolls out.
I think so, and as Tim Cook said, the CEO of Apple, he said that a lot of deep thought went into this product, and deep thought is too. I mean, using the crown as the navigation, and
yes,
I mean they're making it an object, a desirable object, something that people want. I think that they're adding all the right touches, and there's a couple of check marks for you there, Ben. But I think it's going to be a successful. But it's not going to be available till next year. And
next year, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, and although he did say it's going to be worth the wait, and I think from what I've seen, he's correct. So,
although it sounds like you're jumping ahead of your own rule. And we hear it from people, from a lot of our correspondents and people that come on the show, and we even hear from Craig from time to time. But it sounds like he's throwing this one out the window for the iWatch, or the Apple Watch, which is wait for the second generation, wait for the third generation. The first generation is obviously going to have some bugs, and and some field testing with the first generation will be fixed in the second one. But it sounds like Craig's just like, this thing's going to be amazing out of the box. Just save up now, buy it the day it comes out.
Well, and that's true. I mean, I bought the first iPhone. I really did. And I don't have any regrets over that. I mean, I really, I used it, And then of course then they came out with the next and the second, the third, and the fourth. But I had the first one. And I don't have any regrets of doing that. I think certain devices, I think especially with computers and software.
Yes.
But with this product, I think that it's going to be together enough to be of value immediately. I'm not going to use all the features on there. I don't ever intend to, but I think as a watch, I think it's going to be very cool.
Yeah, and guys, a question for you, since you both, have not looked at the video of the Apple announcement and so forth about the new products, but will the iWatch, if I presume that's what it's going to be called.
Apple Watch. Apple Watch.
Okay. Will it have a symbiotic relationship with your iPhone? I'm presuming.
It must have an iPhone with it. Yep.
Okay. So it has to. It's okay.
It's complete with the iPhone. You have to. It works only with the iPhone. That's it. Yep. All right.
Do you think it'll be only with the iPhone, or do you think it's going to be with the iPod Touch too?
No, they said specifically it has to be the iPhone. Of course, when you look at the iPhone 6 now and the iPhone 6, the iPhone 6 looks like an iPod Touch. It's that thin, and it's the same shape now. It looks just like the iPhone 6 looks pretty much like an iPod Touch.
Yeah.
But yeah, you have to have an iOS device, specifically iOS 8. You're gonna need, which is coming out in tomorrow, September the 12th. They unleash iOS 8, so for free download. So. Looking forward to that. Again, we'll talk more about that with Gene Steinberg. In the meantime,
Apple.
Yeah. Let's go to story 2, and this is the Atlas bipedal robot is ready to build your warehouse/battle station.
Yeah, a little tip of the hat to Darth Vader there. Need another droid. But this is also a story from TechCrunch, also a story by John Briggs, who's a great writer. And again, in the show notes, folks, you can see the link, and you see a still image. It's not going to fire off the video, but it's a still image of a YouTube posted video that shows this bipedal robot doing its thing. And it's really, you must use the link in the show notes. Go out and really look at this video, because it's almost spooky. It doesn't move very quickly, but what it's doing, the nut of it, I'll give you kind of an essential boil down of what the story is all about, is they have developed this robot at MIT that can walk with an imbalanced load, meaning to say in one arm it can be carrying a heavy load and maybe have nothing in the other arm, or something of differing weight in the other arm, and be able to walk.
Yeah, I'm watching it right now. He's carrying a very heavy metal frame, it looks like.
Yeah, and you really need to see that video to understand the importance of what this development is when it comes to human modeled robots. Yeah. So here's the story. He says we've been.
Wait. He looks though like he's just got up in the morning. He needs his morning cup of coffee though.
Oh yeah. They need. You see that line that's going into his back? That needs to have caffeine. They need Starbucks to get involved and help this guy get. But again, the significance is the breakthrough of that balancing, which really makes these kind of humanoid-like robots more exciting about actually being useful, right?
It's all about the math. I mean, this is what it is. It's they've modeled it. It's math, and when they finally figure out how to do it in the mathematical, they get it to do this stuff.
Yeah. So a little bit read a little bit from the article. As John was saying, he says we've been following MIT's Atlas, the bipedal. Is that how you say it? Bipedal? I don't know. Bipedal robot for a while now, and it says we've seen the cute little guy walk, toddle, and climb over obstacles, but now he can reach down, grab a heavy metal girder or other object, and drag it around like a beast. It is kind of funny. It's sort of like a caveman dragging his big club. Yeah. Our little robo monster is growing up. The demonstration, which was presented at the International Conference on Robotics and Automation in Hong Kong, shows Atlas the robot trucking, quote-unquote, with a truss, the metal object Craig was mentioning that's in the video, namely dragging a huge piece of metal around in an open space. The project is part of MIT's DARPA Robotics Challenge work and was produced by the three fellows involved with it, Scott Acuña-Darsma, I can't say that right, Frank Permenter, and Russ Tedrake. John says in his article, why is this important? Because Atlas can now walk while off balance, albeit not very quickly. This means the robot could carry differently weighted objects in each arm, as I mentioned before. And he gives some ideas of what these could be. It's an interesting mix of suggestions. For example, a gun and a battle axe, or a baby and an adult. Interesting combination of objects there. Can you mix that up? Can I have a baby and a battle axe? That's disturbing. Anyway, and can also assist in warehouses and deep inside an underground lair, or on a Death Star. It is, in short, now a humanoid robot that can do useful work. That, friends, is the significance of this breakthrough. It just accelerates the idea of a humanoid robot potentially down the road doing more useful work when, of course, they can get it to wake up with more caffeine, move faster, and so on and so forth. And he closes the article by saying, keep an eye on that, Atlas, because someday you'll be cowering in a corner while a dozen of them search your house. I love that. Cool story.
Yes, it is. All right, well, let's move on to the next one, story 3. And this is the first graphene-based flexible display to get bent out of shape. Now, why? I guess because I've seen flexible displays before, but this is the first graphene-based.
Yeah. And so let's get into the story because it explains a little bit the significance here. This I picked up from Gizmodo, story by Kelsey Campbell Dolligan. And let's dive into the story. You can see the picture there of the display, the demonstration of this flexible display. It says here, graphene is one of those material science breakthroughs that's so frequently described as a harbinger of technological revolution, it almost feels hackneyed. You know, it's like been said so much you don't believe it anymore, or you just kind of take it for granted. Goes on to say, almost until an update like this rolls around. Scientists at Cambridge today, and this was on the 5th of September, demonstrated the first graphene-based flexible display. So there's a quote here from one of the professors, one of the scientists involved. It says, this is a significant step forward to enable fully wearable and flexible devices, said the director of the Cambridge Graphene Center program. And his name is Professor Ferrari. That's kind of a cool name, right? Ferrari was describing the impact of the prototype device, which is compared to a screen, of your average e-reader, with the glass screen replaced with a plastic one. The biggest difference, of course, is that what is behind the plastic. Instead of the metal electrodes you'd find on an e-reader typically, there are graphene electrodes. Now this gets kind of scientific, and I frankly don't have enough knowledge to fully appreciate this. Maybe Craig and Ben, you might be tuning on this more than I am off the top, but it says, according to the Cambridge Graphene Center, the graphene display clocks in at a perfectly respectable 150 pixels per inch, and the center says it's working on a full-color version down the road. It's the first flexible graphene display we've seen demonstrated, and in the demonstration video, which you can see if you go to the article,
right,
we see a thin plane of plastic being bent and then cycling through the pages of a 1950s style recipe book explaining how to make a graphene display. Though still very rough, it's interesting to see how the much hyped technology actually looks in practice. Maybe those folding phones aren't quite as far away as we assumed, and there's a link to the Cambridge Graphene Center as well. So I don't, Craig, guys, what have flexible displays been made of to date as opposed to graphene? That's the part I don't know about.
And it's interesting because although I'm looking at this one obviously has lines going through it, so it's obviously it doesn't wear very well. But as I said, it's very crude at this point.
Right.
And I know they've had flexible AMOLED screens, but graphene I'm not familiar. I don't know, so we're going to have to Google that and check it and find out why.
Maybe one of our listeners in the chat room is a scientist or is in Googling Explore mode.
Yeah,
can tell us a little bit more, perhaps.
About graphene?
Yes.
Exactly.
Ben's already on it. I could tell.
Yeah, no, it's graphene is just one of those things that you hear about every couple months, and it's going to be the next great thing, going to be the next big thing. And admittedly, graphene was only invented like 8 years ago, I think, or something like that. So it's not old technology by any means, but it's supposedly the strongest material out there. It's just one layer of carbon atoms stringed together, and very, very flexible, more conductive than copper wire.
Oh wow!
And it's just the stuff that's going to go into everything. It's going to be used in displays and cables and screens and body armor. It's just going to be everywhere. So I mean, it's
Wow.
and like they keep promising these grand things, like graphene is going to revolutionize everything, but then you kind of don't hear anything from it again. So it's good to see it actually has a use case now, and something like this would probably be better suited to like I wouldn't say disposable magazine, but like a buy one and carry it around, and then you could display different images on it with it. And graphene is incredibly cheap, so that's another perk.
Wow, super cool. Yeah, I just was Googling, got onto Wikipedia and looking at the graphene article. Yeah, I need to learn more about it.
Yeah, we're going to take a little more break now, and then we'll come back. I want to go over to, start with Story 8, which is Netflix, because they're in the news, and I have a couple of comments about it. This is the Computer America Show on the Blog Talk Radio Network, the Boost Radio Network, and the IRN Radio Network. Stay with us.
Hey everyone, have you heard about the No Hair Removal device that's sweeping the globe? If you want to go weeks without shaving and get smooth, professional quality results, here's our favorite host, Cheryl, for No Hair Removal.
Thanks. Hey gals, I love talking about my No. It's this cute little hair removal system that you can take with you and use almost anywhere at home or on the road. No more expensive in-office treatments, painful waxing, and no more wasting your valuable time. Got unwanted facial hair? No has patented Thermocon technology that works on all hair and skin colors, so it's perfect for using on all body parts. And now you can take advantage of this incredible risk-free trial. Get the No, the facial kit, a travel case, and a $100 discount shopping card, and you don't risk a penny to try it. Try the incredible No hair completely risk-free. Call 1-800-953-5415. That's 800-953-5415. 800-953-5415.
Looking for a best friend? Brother Wolf Animal Rescue has your best friend waiting just for you. The mission is to protect and enhance the lives of companion animals and the people who love them. Their no-kill rescue shelter is open year-round, making it easy for people to adopt their best new friend. This year, Brother Wolf will find homes for over 2,400 orphan dogs, puppies, cats, and kittens. All have ended up as an orphan through no fault of their own. Brother Wolf has created a safe, nurturing environment where these special animals can heal emotionally and life-saving transport program brings dogs and puppies from overcrowded shelters in the south to rescues in the north where homes are easier to find. Brother Wolf Animal Rescue is a 501c3 organization. To learn more about their life-saving work and to make a donation, visit their website at www.b.org. www.bwar.org. Help to realize Brother Wolf's vision when no animal is euthanized for lack of a home.
Who's a good boy?
Computer America. This time the data. It looks like other gigabyte memory stick USB drives, but the Data Locker Sentry is very persnickety about letting anybody see your work with what's on it. You need to remember the password you set up, and it requires something complex, lowercase, uppercase, numerals, and a minimum length. So you'll have to think of something other than PASSWORD this time. The 100% hard encryption is FIPS 140-2 certified, so breaking it won't be easy. They also included samples of their Encrypt disk, CDR and DVD-R FIPS 140-2 validated, 256-bit AES encrypted options. Same deal. You create a password before you can burn them and can only read them after entering the same password. Bottom line, you can be lackadaisical about toting or shipping sensitive data because Data Locker Sentry and Encrypt disks are quite the opposite. This is Marty Winston with a News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America.
Welcome back to the Computer America Show. 33 minutes past the hour. We are doing news articles with Ralph Bond, not Gene Steinberg. He will be here tomorrow night if you were expecting him. But we just did a story about graphene, and I'm actually kind of slipping what the actual article or what the particular use case of graphene was for this. But I mean, there was an article linked from the article that you had, Ralph, that showed 9 different uses. And when I say this stuff comes up every couple months and promises to revolutionize everything, I mean, this article here, 9 uses for it. One is to charge your phone in about 5 seconds and get a full charge for the whole day. Another one is a terabit over Wi-Fi, using graphene antennae, antennae, whatever. But yeah, it's everything from tennis rackets to making little filters that would filter salt water into fresh water. This stuff is just, it has promises in every field that technology is in. So I haven't seen too much of it, and if this is the first use case that we really do see, it coming into people's hands, being the fact that it's going to be a bendable, wearable display, perfect.
There you go.
Yeah, that's very cool. In fact, the saltwater distillation possibilities with graphene, Ben, is one of the stories. If you go down the show notes toward the very end, if we have time, it's one of the stories we have. So you're right, and that's what the article was talking about. We just talked about at the beginning. It says, we hear so much about it, we're kind of like blocking it out because everybody's graphene.
It's a cool technology. We just needed to get here so it can start doing its stuff.
Yay.
But in the meantime, while we wait for graphene,
meanwhile,
story
back
8.
here on Earth.
Yeah, exactly. Story 8. Netflix experiments with shorter clips to watch on your phone.
Yes, this is a fun story, and of course, I always look for everything news about Netflix because I've been a long-time subscriber, and I also use Amazon Prime, so I like that very much too. And this caught my eye. Netflix, as you say, experiments with shorter clips to watch on your phone. It's a story from Techno Buffalo, a story by Jacob Kleinman, and the link again is in the show notes. And he says there's a decent chance you have the Netflix app saved somewhere on your phone. But how often do you actually use it? The video streaming giant may dominate when it comes to 30-minute long TV shows and 2-hour movies, but it doesn't have much to offer for anyone looking for 5 to 10 minutes of entertainment on a mobile device. It's absolutely true. That may change, though, as the company experiments with offering shorter clips targeted specifically at your smartphone. I personally think it's a really smart move. We'll see how it pans out. Article goes on to say Netflix recently revealed its plans to serve up short scenes from its library of movies, shows, and comedy specials. It's kind of like trailers. That part's I'm not that thrilled about. What I'd like to see is creative people coming up with shorts, really shorts, sort of like video haikus, kind of. We'll see. The idea is still taking form, but one concept the company is considering features a new section in the Netflix mobile app titled Have 5 Minutes. As you can probably guess, everything on the list is around 5 minutes long. For now, this is just an experiment, though Netflix acknowledges that it needs to do something to satisfy the increasing number of people who come to the service from a smartphone. The company says it plans to relaunch its mobile app later this year, so it may not be much longer before you're watching short Netflix clips on your phone. But once again, guys, to me, if it's just trailers or just excerpts or something like that, like Hulu will give you these, I don't know, like a minute or two from your favorite show, as a user, that doesn't do it for me. I'd like to see something that's start to finish. Maybe it's news stories, maybe it's other little entertainment sketches, something that's a real show, but in a small 5 to 10 minute window package. What do you guys think?
The two places where I see this, being potentially really good is if they could somehow partner with the website funnyorDie.com. They have really great shorts, and their shorts are generally between 3 to 5, maybe 6 minutes long. And it's kind of like an improv sketch thing. If you've ever been to the website, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Like kind of like a web series kind of deal, but in a Netflix playlist feature, where you obviously wouldn't give it its own movie or show listing, but it'd just be a way to get all the episodes hosted through Netflix.
Oh, that's great. I'm on the site right now, and it does look funny. I've never heard of it before. I'm going to check it out.
Oh, they have clips from everything, and then also I know that a lot of the late night talk shows, I'm partial to Comedy Central's stuff, Colbert and Jon Stewart.
Yeah.
But I know that their segments are broken up into about 5 to 8 minute segments with commercial breaks in between, if they could get segments to play on Netflix instead of entire episodes, that'd be a great way too. It's just, that 5 minute video probably has potential. You just have to find out what can you fit in 5 minutes that's not a waste of time.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Well, I read this article and that's terrific. I want to just mention this from a different perspective, and that is the current version of the Netflix app now is 6.2, and I don't know where or when it happened, but I would always say to Ben, I don't like using my iPhone for remote control, and I use, one of the things that I watch is Netflix on my computer, but I also watch it on the Chromecast that I have.
Right.
And what you would have to do is you would use your iPhone, your iOS device, in this case my iPhone, as the remote control, and I found it to be lackluster. I mean, I would hit the freeze button for a moment, and it wouldn't freeze, and then about maybe 5 seconds later it would freeze. And it wasn't very control. Well, the other night there was a movie I wanted to watch, was on Netflix, and I didn't want to sit and watch my computer, so I said, okay, I'll fire up the Chromecast because it's always on anyway, and start it off. I have to tell you, my viewing experience was, I did a complete 180. It was fantastic. Evidently, they have fixed the problems. They'll say, oh, we have bug fixes. They don't say it is. Yeah. Well, evidently, they fixed it because now the response was like instantaneous. When I hit the pause button, it paused. I hit the go back 30 seconds of the loop, it went back immediately. It was like instantaneous. I wanted to stop it, pause it, whatever I was doing, advanced, forward, everything. I put it through its paces. The reaction was instantaneous, just like I would have with a regular remote control. So if you are using Netflix or you haven't used Netflix in a while with Chromecast, go back and try it again. Because if you have the latest version, which according to mine it's 6.2, it's amazing. They really did a spectacular job of fixing this. It works extremely well. So I just thought I would put that in there.
Well, that's awesome. And I want to tell you that Netflix, I'm on this website right now, has major offices and facilities in my little town, Hillsboro, Oregon.
Really?
You can confirm it online.
Okay.
Yeah. So Netflix is part of the Silicon Forest, homegrown. Well, not homegrown, but they have big administrative and other things going on here, right here in little old Hillsboro. Of course, Intel is huge in Hillsboro, monstrous. I mean, like, I don't know, 5,000 people or something like that. It's just incredible.
Well, anyway,
real quick, is that a real term, Silicon Forest?
It is now. No, it is. You'll hear it occasionally, not as much as we would like.
Okay, because I've heard Valley, I just haven't heard Forest yet. So
Valley, the Cupertino,
that's California, yeah,
Palo Alto, yeah. Been there. It's all yesterday.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Move up. Come on over to the Silicon. Exactly. Okay. Well, anyway, for those of you again with Netflix who haven't tried the Netflix app with your Chromecast, I highly suggest you do, because you're going to be very pleasantly surprised, very pleased.
Yeah, that's so cool. I hook up my iPad. I have an iPad too. Talking about second generation product, and I'm very happy I have that. But anyway, I just connect that to my LCD and just run the Netflix and get the bigger display and so forth. And it is so great when things just work.
Yeah. Well, the Chromecast again has been around for a while, and more and more things are supporting it. And Netflix has supported the Chromecast for quite some time, so you can watch it on your big screen TV.
Yeah.
Just that it was so unresponsive, and they have fixed. I don't know what version. It might have been 2 or 3 versions. I don't know, because I said I have 6.2, which is the latest version, and it's completely responsive.
Cool.
Very nice, very nice. All right, let's go back. Let's zoom back to story 4.
All righty. Scroll up there.
Now, we've always heard about, lasers being the weapons of the future, and the Army and the military using them.
Right.
And one of the things that a lot of people don't realize is that lasers are still light. It's a focused beam of light, a coherent beam of light, if you want to get technical, but still, it's light. And when you're in things like fog, for example, the light fog has a tendency to disperse light. That's why we have fog lights and why things, and things look foggy. So with this announcement, evidently the Army they evidently come up with a laser war truck that evidently can now see and shoot through fog, and that's big news in the laser.
Yeah, and given President Obama's speech last night and what's going on in the Middle East, here we go again. Oy, oy, oy. I wonder if this technology, guys, would also be applicable in a sandstorm, in a desert environment. And I wonder if any of obviously fog being a moisture-based thing is a different kind of physical situation than sandstorm, but I wonder if this would work there too.
Well, it says suspended condensation, smoke, fog, and other obscurants that deflect and diffract beam. Well, sand, I guess, would be that. Yeah.
Yeah, I would think so.
You would think sand, though, is like a solid. It's a bunch of little solids, suspended in air, whereas all the other, fog and smoke and what have you, is just a gas vapor.
Yeah, you're right. It may have a problem with sandstorms, which could be a disadvantage given our current world situation. But anyway, the story comes from Gizmodo, story by Andrew Tarantola, and I'll read a bit about the story. If you have the show notes, you can see a picture of this experimental war truck with the laser beam device mounted on the top. Looks kind of like a giant air conditioning unit on the top of a Walmart or something, but that's what that is. And the story says the problem with the current iterations of combat laser prototypes is that they can easily be foiled by suspended condensation, smoke, fog, and other obscurants that deflect and diffract the beam as it's en route to its target. The HELMD, which is Boeing High Energy Laser Mobile Demonstrator, HELMD, there's an acronym for you, however, proved earlier this year that the solution is simple. Just increase the power of the laser enough to burn through fog, cloud, and incoming mortar rounds alike. I don't quite follow the incoming mortar rounds because a mortar is a solid object. It does impact the ground and create a plume, cloud usually, and so forth of sorts, but anyway, I'm not quite sure what that's all about. He goes on to say the current 10 kilowatt version of the truck mounted prototype relies on a battery of lithium-ion batteries continually replenished by a 60 kilowatt diesel generator, allowing it to operate as long as the truck remains fueled. Kind of wonder what kind of virtual gas mileage you get when you're trying to run those generators, but that'd be an interesting question. Interestingly, the power output necessary to accomplish this feat is quite low. The 10 kilowatt beam used in the recent tests at the Eglin Air Force Base in Florida, where it successfully burned incoming mortar and drone threats out of the sky despite a thick layer of low-lying fog. Oh, I see what they're saying, guys. The mortar round was coming through the air through a foggy situation of the drone. It was able to penetrate the fog and hit the target. It says, is the same solid-state laser that the Army showed off back in 2013. He goes on to say, I would have expected the task to require at least 50 kilowatt turret that the Army unveiled earlier this year. Still, the success of this spring's foggy tests demonstrate that the technology can, and now likely will, be adapted for maritime combat as well. He concludes by saying, just imagine the next generation of U.S. warships equipped with laser cannons and railguns. Interesting. It's scary, interesting, and fascinating all at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, the railgun is like the next step because it sends out the projectile without gunpowder, without an explosive. It just
magnets.
It uses magnets to shoot up, and the bullet itself, I don't know if it does, but the bullet itself uses kinetic energy rather than exploding. I think it uses kinetic energy to damage. So there's really you're not relying on a chemical reaction of any sort as we do with today's large guns. And of course, the laser cannon would be a perfect complement to that technology, the railguns.
Yeah, there you go.
It's going to be laser cannons, railguns, and now we have drones and robots that are fighting wars instead of people. The future is coming on quick for warfare. There's no doubt about that.
And the next thing that's going to happen, Ben and Craig, you both know this from your movie history. Eventually, these robots are going to get together and go, to hell with people. We're taking over. Right? What was
They're
that?
gonna become sentient.
I remember that.
Yeah, they become sentient or self-aware.
Yeah, that's it. What was it? Skynet. Skynet. That was what it was. It's self-aware.
Okay,
Real life art real life imitating art. Yeah, exactly.
odd question.
Potentially.
If you could think of all the systems out there, the fastest supercomputer, the Jaguars, what have you, or maybe databases, what do you think the source of Skynet would be in today's world? Would it be Amazon's crazy contact list with all the shipping information? Would it be Google databases with all their self-driving cars? What do you think the next Skynet would be?
I think it's Amazon Prime, without a doubt.
You think so?
Well, look, they're working on those drones to deliver your packages. What are they really doing?
Exactly. No one's asking the real questions.
Hey,
Craig
ISIS,
probably thinks it's going to be Apple.
I think ISIS is going to get some special drone deliveries from Amazon.com in a few days.
Yeah, well, I think Craig thinks it's going to be Siri is going to be the voice of Skynet.
Oh, God.
Siri, yeah, exactly.
Siri.
Or Cortana. Could Cortana be the voice of Skynet?
That'd be okay. I'd be okay with that.
You will? Oh, okay.
I could go for the whole thing in Terminator so long as I didn't have to be sent into the future nude. That would not be a good thing.
Or into the past in that case. But
Or
yes.
the past. Yes, the past. Either direction, nude's not good for me.
Well, I don't know. If you get sent back to the 70s, it might blend in a bit.
Well, no, wait a minute. Yeah, if I could go back to my body back in the 70s, okay, maybe. It might be okay.
Well, Ben couldn't go back to his body in the 70s because he didn't have a body back then.
I would just be a little egg. Look, for Craig to get the same results, he'd have to go back down. He'd have to go back to the 30s, and nothing's happening then. So.
Oh, jeez.
So we're moving on to story 5, and we actually covered this a bit, but I want to do it again because it's newsworthy, and in case some of our listeners may have missed it. The big thing about 4K this and 4K that, and they're coming out with 4K monitors for around $1,500, and then the prices are coming down. Well, evidently, according to this, your 4K monitor that's shiny, brand new, is already obsolete. According to this story, Dell is the world's first 5K display with a massive 5120 by 2880 resolution.
Yeah, there you go. A story from Engadget by Billy Steele from earlier this month. And as you say, you've already covered the story, but it does bear re-emphasizing. I think it's kind of tongue-in-cheek and fun and interesting, and it begs the question, who would really use this technology at this point in time? And I think it has to do with...
And Ben has an interesting theory, too, which at the end he'll tell you. So go ahead.
Good, because I'd like to compare notes on what you think would... use of this right now, and I think certainly computer-aided design is one of them. I think Hollywood special effects, it could be another one, married with the proper graphics adapter that can handle this kind of thing, and so forth and so on. Anyway, so here's the article. What Billy says here: 4K is so last week. Most of us haven't added one of those displays as part of our daily workflow yet, and Dell's 5K option is on the way. The Ultra Sharp 27 Ultra. Wait a minute, you have to Ultra Sharp and Ultra. So it's Ultra Sharp 27 Ultra HD 5K monitor claims a world's first with the said resolution of 5K. Once again, that's 5,120 by 2,880 pixels, which clocks in at 4 times the resolution of QHD, and QHD is 2560 by 1440, by the way, and 7 times that of Full HD. The panel itself is a 218 pixels per inch, putting it just shy of the 15-inch Retina MacBook Pro, and features the company's premier color technology and anti-smudge, anti-reflection, edge-to-edge glass across its 27-inch facade. There are built-in immersive acoustics thanks to a pair of Harman Kardon 16-watt speakers with 6 USB ports, onboard card reader, I like that, and adjustable base for sorting tasks. If you're already wanting one of these for your office, you should probably start saving your money now. The Ultra Sharp model is set to arrive in calendar quarter 4 of this year with a $2,500 price tag. So what I'd like you guys to share with me is what would somebody use this for? I think certainly computer-aided design, if the software can drive that kind of resolution. Hollywood special effects software and generation, if it drives that kind of resolution, could be useful for this. Maybe, you know, someday for extreme gaming. But what do you guys think?
Games, that's it. Yeah. But
Games?
Ben, yeah.
Of course.
But Ben has this theory, which I think I kind of go along with him on it.
What theory is that? Wait, you should have told me I had a theory. I didn't know I had a theory.
Yes, you did. It was about the 8K, you know, the multiples of the 4K.
Oh yeah. Okay, so 4K is like the next big jump. 4K is 4 times what 1080p was. It was like 1080p or whatever into 4K. But now, like, you're gonna see in technology everything doubles. You know, 8 to 16, 16, 32, 32, 64. Everything doubles. Yeah. So these 5K, you know, it sounds like the 5K monitors and 5K this and 5K that, they're kind of piggybacking on, you know, 4K is making all the big news. 4K is just, you know, everywhere. And so if you can release something that is just one better, 5K, you're obviously going to get people to look, not just because it's, you know, not just because it's better, but because it's one more than what is currently being exclaimed as the best. But I think, you know, you're going to see these 5Ks pop up here and there, and then next year you're going to see the 6Ks pop up, but you're really not going to see, you know, any really great improvement until you get to 8K, which is the next double. You go from 1080p to 4K to 8K. 8K is going to be like the next great monitor.
So what you're saying, Ben, is what we have here is the equivalent to the famous line in Spinal Tap, where the guitar player says, but wait, my amplifier has a dial that can go up to 11.
Pretty much.
Oh man.
Pretty much. You know, the price tag is obviously going to go up, and you know the inners might be a little bit better, but it's probably more for show than it is for actual quality.
Or meaningful evolutionary step, to your point.
Yeah.
I agree.
And with a $2,500 price tag, no offense, but that's a nice computer. That's a really nice computer, let alone a monitor.
Yeah, agree.
Now, was an Origin PC was sporting though a 4K system for
4K system, and they give you 2 graphics cards in there that are like $1,500 each for each graphics card.
Yeah.
So like $3,000 of it of the 4K that you're giving them goes straight into their graphics cards.
Wow.
So
wow. That's wild.
Yeah.
Hey, I got a question for you guys. I'm talking about 4K this, 4K that, blah, blah, blah. I always use Costco as kind of my cultural gauge. And you're right. Now when I go into Costco and right at the entrance is the TV section, it may be the case for all Costco's, but I know it is for ours. And you see all the 4Ks. But they talk about where are the 4K disc players, and I've read that they ostensibly do that which DVD players used to do, and that's quote-unquote upscale your DVD to 1080p, you know, fake it out or whatever you want to call it. And they say these these ultra high def players are supposed to take your Blu-rays and now bring them up to a virtual 4K. Have you seen it? Does it look really that good?
Well, we just did a story on the next generation of Blu-rays are coming out. Remember that?
Yeah, they just had a story straight from Blu-ray, and those are coming out next year, I want to say. They're going to release 4K Blu-rays.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about existing Blu-rays, putting them into these upscalers.
Yeah.
Does it really look that much better?
I have not seen it, but I would chance to think that it probably looks really good. I mean, you know.
It'd be interesting to see. Yeah.
I mean, concerning today's technology, it's going to look better. But I bet when 4K Blu-ray comes out and 4K Blu-ray players come out next year, it's going to be night and day from upscale to true.
The true 4K.
As it generally is.
Yeah, it is. It always is. When you're fudging it, that's when you had 1080i, which was the interlaced, and then finally the 1080p, which was the actual 1080. I mean, you see it time and time again. They're really like stopgaps. So you can enjoy the technology, you know, but it's still not going to be as good as when they finally come out with it. I think, though, at that point, 4K resolution on that it's going to be. it's going to be hard to. I think we're hitting that with that Retina visibility display again. You really can't see any difference at that point between 4K and 5K.
No, don't say that. Don't say that, Greg. As soon as you say technology is good enough, you're going to be wrong.
I don't think it's good enough. I think we just can't perceive the difference between the two.
You're saying it's going to be good enough.
Unless you zoom in or sit in front of it with your nose on the screen.
See, this is what CSI needs, because they're always like zoom in, enhance, and with enough resolution, they actually could. They don't
need
lie
it to fight
anymore.
crime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right. When we come back, we're at the top of the hour. We're going to talk about Samsung Gear VR and what's going on with that. Some of the other stories we're going to be doing is Toyota steers away from driverless cars. Why? We'll find out. And also, the AT&T team up and box for more secure cloud access. These stories and more coming up on the Computer America Show. Ralph Bond continues on with us. You're listening to us on the Blog Talk Radio Network, the Boost Radio Network, and the IRN Radio Network. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting live, it's the only national radio talk show on computers to air every weeknight. Computer America, hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. The first hour's behind us, but there's still more of tech news, tech talk, and your phone calls. We're being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. You got computer problems? Bring them on. You're listening to Computer America. Computers run the world, and we run computers. Call us or send us an email to live@computeramerica.com.
Hello and welcome into Hour 2 of the nation's longest-running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. This is the Computer America Show, and I'm your host, Craig Crossman.
And I'm your co-host, Ben.
And we continue on with our good friend Ralph Bond. He's here with us for both hours, and we're doing computer stories that Ralph finds for us on the internet, interesting stories, and so we're going to continue on with those stories here on the Computer America. What was that?
Actually, I was walking.
Okay, all right. So anyhow, technology is just a wonderful thing. Anyhow, we're continuing on with Ralph Bond. And we have these different stories. Again, if you have any comment or question or suggestion, you can call us at 347-884-8881. 347-884-8881. We'll get you on and get you through. We have our live Computer America video streaming page brought to you by Otherworld Computing. And let's see what else. You can join us in our live interactive IRC chat room from our chat room page. I think what we're going to do is just continue on, and we're going to this next story. This is story 7. Retailer begins taking Samsung Gear VR pre-orders for $250. Oh,
Right. This is a story from Techno Buffalo. Everybody's so involved these days thinking one of the vogue things right now is the what is it? The Optimus. What's the name of that? The goggle things.
The Oculus.
Oculus. Thank you.
Oculus.
And that's got all the attention, right? Yeah. And here's an interesting alternative, in a sense, Samsung, and at a very modest price range, $250. Again, story from Techno Buffalo. Let's get into the story here by Killian Bell. It says, accessory retailer Mobile Fun, so that's the name of an accessory retailer, has begun accepting pre-orders for the Samsung Gear VR, which turns your Galaxy Note 4 into a virtual reality headset. So it's symbiotic with your Galaxy Note 4. The company is charging $250 US or $150 or 150 pounds for the device, but it's unclear how long customers will have to wait for it. So the release date is yet to be disclosed. But Mobile Fun, this retailer, is a Samsung authorized dealer and a reputable case and accessory retailer. So we have no reason to doubt its details on Gear VR pricing are accurate. So this is kind of a little bit of a, predictive story here. At $249 in the U.S., 150 pounds sterling in the UK seems a fairly reasonable price for this device. But of course, you'll need to have or buy a Galaxy Note 4 as well to use it. Now, Samsung announced the Gear VR at IFA, and I'm still trying to figure out what that stands for. I know it was the big trade show in Berlin, September 4 through 9, so very recently. So they announced that this device at that show alongside its new Note tablets and the Gear S smartwatch. He goes on to say, it's a lot like the Oculus Rift, there you go, only it's powered by a Note 4 itself, so it's a completely untethered unit that you can use almost anywhere. He says, we're pretty impressed with it despite a few software bugs, but its long-term success will hinge on how well it is supported by third-party developers. Always the case. And by the way, going back to that Apple Watch we talked about at the beginning of the show, clearly Apple's going to always have now this astonishing advantage of having tons and tons of third-party developers probably falling over themselves to write apps for that little watch. And so this author's making the point that for this product to succeed, it hinges on third-party development of apps. Samsung said it planned to sell the Gear VR goggles through its own online store initially, but Mobile Fun's listing indicates some third-party retailers will have access to it as well. What we still don't know at this point, however, is when the device will actually be available. Mobile Fun doesn't provide a shipping date, and all Samsung told us is that it would be coming later this fall. If you really want a Gear VR goggle as soon as they're available, then you can order yours through Mobile Fun. That's all run together as one word, Mobile Fun now. So an interesting development. Again, it's tethered to the Samsung Note 4 and dependent on applications, but it's an interesting move on Samsung's part, and I'm generally pretty impressed with Samsung products. So, you know, who knows what they've got up their sleeve for this product.
Yep.
Two things. One of them is, have you guys ever heard of the Dodo case?
No.
Not me.
Dodo case is essentially what you're looking at with VR headset that we were just talking about from Samsung, but instead it's made out of cardboard.
Oh my God.
And yeah, and you can buy the whole thing for about $24. Works with any smartphone, and it folds up into think of a viewfinder, but you know you slip your phone into a special pocket back there, and then you use the proper app on your phone, and it does the exact same thing for $24 instead of $250.
That is hilarious. I'm looking at the website right now, Ben. I love it. It's like the old. It looks like one of those old-fashioned viewfinder things. You know, the thing you put the little wheel in and you click.
The ViewMaster.
ViewMaster. Thank you. Yes. Oh my God, isn't that funny?
Yep.
Oh, that is hilarious.
Yeah, for $24, same thing. But of course, it's made out of cardboard. It's probably not going to last too long. But you know, just if you want to try it out before you went out and bought something more permanent, I would actually recommend that. And then the other thing, IFA, International Funkkastellung.
Say that 5 times.
Funkkastellung, or something like that. It's German, so international trade. It's like International Consumer Electronics Trade Show or something like that.
Well, yeah, I saw one reference, and I wasn't sure they were one and the same, but International Franchising Association.
That's probably the word.
But I wonder if it started in Germany and so forth. I don't know, but it could be the same. Hey, going back to this Dodo case, this is really interesting. You know what, Ben? What if they made this instead of cardboard? Just make it out of some kind of nice, I don't know what the word would be, not graphene. But can't do graphene for everything. But make it out of some kind of nice vinyl, like the kind of thing that they make the covers for iPads out of or what have you.
I'm sure.
You know,
I'm sure if you get someone who is clever enough and has the in the entrepreneurial spirit, they could probably make plans for a 3D printer that could print something like that very easy.
Yeah, and well, I'm kind of thinking of something. Looking at this Dodo case on their website, something that could be kind of a fold up and create things, so it could be transported with you in a flat and then put together. I can't verbalize it very well, but I think you get the drift. Yeah. And so you could use it for show and tell, or wow, fun! What a clever idea! $24.95. That's hilarious.
I know that I've seen some of the gift or some of the swag that Google gives away, because Google, they do internships and then they send them home with a bunch of Google paraphernalia.
Right.
Google actually gives out versions of these that are made out of cardboard just to
Funny.
give them, just to show them some of the new Android apps. They give them these. So.
No, I love it. That's very clever, tongue-in-cheek idea, but genius at the same time.
Well, I got to tell you, these are the really interesting stories here that we're doing on tonight's show, and we're gonna move to number 9. Before I do, I just wanted to mention, and I should have done it at the top of the hour, again, is that our contest that we're doing, our Logitech contest, finishes tomorrow. Okay. So if you haven't registered, you need to register now. Just go to our contest page. It's right under the Interact menu, and you'll see the Logitech contest. We're giving away 3 great prizes: the HD webcam C310, and this optical mouse, and the UE600 noise isolating earphones for $120. You still have time. Tomorrow night at midnight Eastern Time, we close it down. So head over to our contest page at computeramerica.com and get your entry in while you still have time. Okay, so this next story, I know Ben is a real supporter of driverless cars, but evidently Toyota...
I just hate driving from Florida to North Carolina. That is a horrible drive. It's 11 hours of boredom.
Yikes.
Well,
get on it, Google.
Yeah. So,
get on it.
Yeah, exactly. So, but evidently Toyota doesn't see eye to eye because they're steering away from the driverless car, and they're going more toward safety-enriched cars.
Yeah. That's exactly the reason this story just jumped right out at me. Talking about things that are the vogue or the fad of the day or the trend of the day. Driverless car this, driverless car that, graphene this, graphene that, 5K, 4K, whatever. This really did catch my eye. It's a story from PC Magazine by David Murphy, and the essential thing that's going on here is Toyota is according to this story, kind of stepping back and going, you know what, I think where we'll invest our efforts is not so much on a totally driverless car, which I think they're suggesting is a little too futuristic, and instead looking at ways we can have technologies that work with the human operator to increase safety and other things like that. But let's get into the story. It says here, David says here, it feels like just yesterday when Toyota was showing off its progress surrounding driverless cars. This latest automotive fad, a welcome addition for those who hate the rigors of a daily commute, definitely still has years left of research before car manufacturers are ready to abandon the wheel for good. Or, at the very least, turn it over to a computer instead of a driver. Should this happen, however, it likely won't be Toyota leading the charge. According to the Associated Press, Toyota's Deputy Chief Safety Technology Officer has let slip that the company doesn't appear as interested in removing the driver from the equation as it was previously. To Toyota, the company would rather work to improve the relationship between the car and its driver using technologies to assist efforts behind the wheel, not replace them entirely. And frankly, I'll stop here for a second, little color commentary on my part. I get it, because probably what's going on is they're not completely stopping research and development. I interpret this as really being probably more a case of what makes sense for the immediate, say, 5 to 10 years, and then we'll talk about 20, 30 years down the road at a later point, but that's my speculation. Here's a quote from Shigeo Kuzumaki, who is this, in fact, safety technology officer. He says, Toyota will not be developing a driverless car. Now, that's a rather absolutist statement. That seems hard for me to believe.
No vague about that.
Well, yeah, that's a very binary statement. I'm going to attribute that to, what is that, lost in translation, right? Maybe. Okay, and it goes on to say, though, instead, various Toyota executives discussed the company's efforts toward what they call an automated highway driving assist system at the 4th annual Toyota Advanced Safety Seminar held yesterday, that was on the 6th of this month, in Ann Arbor, Michigan. The system would use 3 key technologies to bolster a driver's capabilities during a typical commute. And I'm going to go through this because I think it's a pretty interesting story and pretty significant, so bear with me. I want to cruise through this article and lay it out. The first technology, dynamic radar cruise control. That's cool, would employ radar to ensure that drivers are keeping a specified margin between them and the vehicle in front of them when they're using cruise control.
I already had that. My Mercedes, like 4 or 5 years ago, had that already built into it. You engage the cruise control, and the front, it was part of the Mercedes emblem, so it was kind of a
Oh, interesting.
and then if you got too close, the car would slow down. You didn't have to judge it; it would just do it. And you had a little wheel there, so you could determine, if you wanted how big a gap you wanted.
Oh, wow.
See, the one in my car actually worked a bit differently. It's you set it, and then the car stops when it's inside the other vehicle, and it comes to as far as or it goes as fast as you are. It goes further. So
That was
nice
the-
feature.
That's interesting. Now, Craig, does your car use radar? Is that the
Yes,
technology?
it was a Mercedes, and it used a radar to send out a beam, and it would detect the car in front of it, and I would actually feel the car slow down.
That's interesting.
It slow down. Yeah, but you were still driving. But it's been a technology that the Mercedes had used a number of years ago. So
yeah. Well, in fairness, at least the author here in Toyota apparently aren't claiming this is the first time.
Okay.
It's just that these are the three technologies that they plan to pursue more aggressively. And I'm going to also further guess, giving it's Toyota, the brand, and its demographic, that maybe the significance is not that this is the first time this particular technology has been around, to your point, but rather they might be pushing it down in the price range, getting it more democratized, right? And that could be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
The second technology is called Lane Trace Control, TRACE, Lane Trace Control. Uses the same radar in conjunction with a forward-facing camera installed in the vehicle to analyze a road's lane markings, as well as the vehicles in front of it. An automated system, for lack of a better way to phrase it, ensures that drivers stay within the lines, without getting too close to anything in front of them. So, again, I'm not an expert. I don't know whether that's unique or interesting or new or different, but that's the second technology they're talking about. The third one, and finally, the third one is Toyota's predictive and interactive human-machine interface will check that a driver is paying attention to his or her surroundings. Using an infrared camera and touch sensors, the system will be able to determine the direction of a driver's face, as well as whether he or she is actually gripping the wheel. If not, the system will let the driver know. Well, I've already got that technology. It's my wife.
But
Ba-da-ding.
pretty good. The only thing I'm worried about for Toyota's sake, and I don't think anyone's ever worried about Toyota's financial future, is that if they kind of postpone the self-driving car, I mean, don't get me wrong, the intermediate technologies that they can bring without bringing a full-fledged, this car drives itself, are, there's so many great perks. No more fender benders, no more roaming out of your lane, no more this, no more that. So many great things, but it would just be kind of bad though if Toyota, because Toyota for their sedans and their four-seater cars, they're some of the lower price range, which isn't bad. It just means they're more affordable. And if self-driving cars do get around here within the next 5 to 7 years, it would be unfortunate if Toyota didn't have one to offer people.
Yeah, and it's obviously a big business move on their part to put their eggs in that basket and so forth. And I don't know. I think it's for me, if they take this set of three technologies and drive it down to a lower price range, at least that's a step in the right direction. And then driverless cars, we'll see. We'll see how that plays out. I think the whole thing of controlled traffic fascinates me. I've sometimes fantasized about thinking of a city situation or a freeway, highway, where the cars are like packets in a network, and once you enter into a road or enter into a certain kind of driving experience, you relinquish control, and the system is big enough and smart enough, big data, to be able to know all of the little constituent packets, aka cars, and control everything, and you just indicate, I want to go off on this off ramp to the McDonald's over here, and it'll just guide you off and then releases you from that network. I don't know. It is some of the things I think
I've seen exactly what you're talking about, and I've seen that going as far back as maybe 10 years ago on the Science Channel, where they do documentaries of what the future is going to be.
Right.
And I mean, could you imagine a big city? Let's take New York, because when people think big city, they think New York. Replacing all the cars there with kind of self-driving pods, and no one owns them. No one owns each individual one, and you could just flag one down, or take out your smartphone, or find one way to get one to come to you. It'll come over, pick you up, and drop you off, and you get out and don't have to worry about a thing. It'll just be kind of go-karts in the system, and you just get around as fast as possible.
Yeah, and all managed and controlled to avoid collision or anything like that, just like packets. It's just that kind of analogy comes to my mind. I think it'd be really kind of interesting.
For sure.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I want to move this next one, and I guess obviously there's a double interest for the story. I want to move to story 13, and as you know, we have has been using the Wix website service for our website. We just had a recent design. We had a redesign. Again, thanks to Ben and his brother Aaron. They did a really terrific job.
Still waiting on that check to clear.
Yeah, exactly. And evidently Ralph, because we told him about Wix, and evidently he was impressed with it too, because you have decided to move your website to the Wix service as well. And so tell us about the story. Website of the day, Wix.
Yeah. Like you say, kind of got multiple layers going on, because this has a personal interest to me. Last time I was on the show, which was Friday the 26th of August, you very kindly told me about Wix and mentioned they're a sponsor with the show now, as I understand it, which I think is great. And I thought, oh, okay. I had built a little website using a free service called Weebly, because my wife and all of her colleagues at the Hoke High School and a lot of the education folks here use the Weebly, because it gives you a decent website and nice templates and all that kind of good stuff for free. But when you told me about Wix and I went out and started looking at that, what they offer, I think their templates are spectacular. I think their editor is really amazing. Friends, you don't need to know anything about coding to put together some really nice looking websites. And so I decided, let's move over to Wix, and have been building this. It's just the beginning, but you can come out, if you go out to ralphbond.wix.com/aboutme, run together as one word, you can take a look at what I was able to accomplish in just, I don't know, an hour or something. I mean, it really was nothing in terms of time. But go back to the story 13 in our show notes. Website of the day. They picked as Wix, the service. I picked up this story from this delightful United Kingdom-based outfit called Pocket-Lint.com, a story by Ian Hughes. And once again, they recognized them on September the 8th as Website of the Day. And the story says, so what makes a great website? Dazzling graphics? A witty tone of voice, smooth navigation, and effortless mobile optimization. All of these maybe, but at the heart of every great website is a great idea. Whether it's an innovative new product, a worthwhile cause, or a useful new application of technology, the idea is what drives it. And to a certain extent, the idea is the easy bit. Delivering all those other elements of an eye-catching website is traditionally where the effort comes in. But with Wix, that's Wix.com, that's simply not true anymore. This is one of the best website builders we've seen, and not just because it's free, and I couldn't agree more. There are hundreds of templates waiting for you, and you can customize everything to make your site truly stand out. You're building an HTML5, and your website will be optimized for smartphones. That's another thing I love about this. Plus, you can add all sorts of tools and toys from their app market. So there's their business model. You can see what's going on here. This is really a child's play, and who knows, maybe we'll be featuring your site here someday soon. So, friends, if you haven't checked this out, go to Wix.com, take a look, see what you think, and if you're like me, you might decide, hey, I'm going to put my website on this free service, and I just couldn't be happier.
Yeah. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, they have for people who want to do more. It's free. But you can go to a premium what they have a premium server, and you can add all additional kinds of abilities and things.
Sure.
If you want to, and that's what we do here at Computer America. We actually have a premium version of it. We started off with free, and then we just moved to the premium version because, quite frankly, we needed to do that. So
yeah. Well, yeah. You as a business user, absolutely makes sense.
But go to Wix.com and check it out for yourself. Okay. All right. So we're going to continue on with some more. Now you mentioned the IFA 2014 was really there. And you got a story 14 which goes into the best of IFA 2014, the devices to get excited about. This is again, I guess, from PocketLint. So.
Yep, another story from this UK-based site, pocket-lint.com, story by Chris Hall and Stuart Miles. So they tag teamed together on this story. And what I've done in my show notes is just extracted a few of the many products that they cite from this very recent trade show. It was on in Berlin from the 4th through the 9th of September, so very fresh information here. And I just selected a few of the items, and one of them that caught my eye, talking about watches, here we go, Asus Zen Watch. The Asus Zen Watch, if you have the show notes, you can see it's a very attractive, to Craig's point and Ben's point at the beginning of the show when we were talking about watches and the Apple Watch and so forth, and the Moto 360 watch from Motorola, trying to make these smartwatches really look and feel in terms of weight and scale and thinness like a real wristwatch replacement, and that's what you have with this product from Asus. So the Asus Zen Watch, what they said here in the article is it's not got a circular screen, which is kind of the vogue these days, but that doesn't stop the Zen Watch from looking great, mainly in thanks to a curved glass display on top of a standard square 1.63-inch AMOLED screen. Now combine that with Android Wear, some nifty add-on features by Asus, and a heart rate monitor, I like that, hidden on the front. For those who want a smartwatch with a few little extra tricks, this is a lovely product, is what they say. The pricing is not cheap. It's going to be about $320 US, 199 pounds sterling, and it's unlikely to break the bank either. I would love to. Was there any speculation about what the Apple Watch might cost? Did they give any indication?
Yes, $395.
Okay, so that's in that zone.
Yeah, they're actually three different versions. There's going to be the Apple Watch itself, then there's going to be the sports version, and then there's one, and I'm blocking it. I'll think of it more. But there's three.
Is there one made out of gold?
Yeah. Well, one of them one has an 18-karat gold, and the other one has the rose gold. Exactly.
Wow.
So
well, wait. The gold is for you, Craig, right? No, you're the champagne color guy, right? I get it.
Exactly. But they're going to, as I said, there are three different versions, and then each of them are interchangeable. In other words, you can change the straps. The straps are completely interchangeable.
Oh, that's nice.
And so you can go from the mesh.
How much can I get one if I wanted it in tinfoil?
They also have one in an aluminum body as well.
Interesting.
Yeah, so they have a. I just wanted to see if I can remember the three of them here. They actually here. There's here. It's the Apple Watch, the Apple Watch Sport, and the Apple Watch Edition.
Interesting.
So, yeah, the Apple Watch Edition is 18-karat gold cases in yellow or rose. They all have the sapphire crystal, which is like the second hardest to diamond.
Wow.
And then you have the crafted bands and closures, to it. So
very cool. Very cool.
Nice looking watch.
Have you ever thought of going into watch salesmanship for Apple, Craig? Because you seem to know a thing or two.
He's a believer.
I am. I am looking forward to that. Although I have to say that Asus Zen Watch looks really nice.
Very attractive. It's definitely attractive.
Yeah, but that's again for Android. It is an Android system.
That's true. And then continuing on with this story of some of the things that the folks at PocketLint.com caught their eye at the IFA or IFA show here recently in Berlin, Sony Smart Eyeglass. And refresh my memory, guys. I think Sony for 20 years has played around with these eyewear kind of devices and so forth. So this is nothing new in a way for Sony, but their latest foray is the Sony Smart Eyeglass. Their show notes show a picture of a guy wearing them. They're certainly not bulky or anything, so that looks good.
Ugly. Yeah, I think they're ugly. They look like goggles. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they look like swimmer's goggles, don't they? Kind of, yeah.
Build a Batman basque around that, you wouldn't even look twice.
There you go. That's the answer. So what they said about this product is, although it's still just a work-in-progress prototype product, at present, it's nice to see a company taking on Google in the augmented reality sector. Sony's smart eyeglass spectacles might look like 3D glasses the company would ship with one of its televisions, but the current build have true heads-up display and overlay graphics onto the real world, or have true heads. That's a very English way of phrasing things.
Yeah, but it's not colored. It's green. It's like, it reminds you of the green phosphor screens of yesteryear. It's not color. I think it's kind of lackluster for Sony to come out with something that's so far behind what the other ones are coming out. So, as you say, this is just an experimental version, but
right.
It didn't blow me away. Listen, we're at the bottom of the hour, and then we're going to continue on. Okay, we got lots more coming up. This is the Computer America Show on the Boost Radio Network, on the Blog Talk Radio Network, on the IRN Radio Network. You're listening to us. Ralph Bond is our guest for the remaining of the hour. He's been on with us for the entire show. We're going to continue on with more stories, currently from the Best of IFA 2014. We'll be right back.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 120,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy and major car companies filing for bankruptcy, Cover America Auto Care has announced revolutionary, inexpensive mechanical breakdown coverage that is now available to the general public to save consumers thousands on auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for drivers to call who own a vehicle that is less than 10 years old for a free 5-minute quote and to see if you qualify. The number is 800-483-2514. Drivers who are covered with this auto protection will not have to pay for a covered repair again. This is the auto coverage now sweeping across America at a fraction of what dealerships charge and is now available to the public by calling today. The number to call is 800-483-2514. 800-483-2514. That's 800-483-2514.
Don't complain about your cable bill going up and up and up. Do something about it. Grab a pencil and jot down this special number, 1-866-663-MY-TV. The more cable TV rates go up, the better digital satellite TV looks. So, disable the cable and get more of your favorite channels in 100% digital quality for less money. Call 1-866-663-MY-TV right now to sign up for packages starting as low as $19.99 and up to 4 rooms. And there's no equipment to buy. That includes your free HD TV upgrade, your free DVR upgrade, and your free professional installation. And the best part, the pristine digital picture and sound. Call 1-866-663-MY-TV. So, what are you waiting for? Pull out your major credit or debit card. Call 1-866-663-MY-TV. 1-866-663-MY-TV. Disable the cable, cut costs, and get more. Call 1-866-663-MY-TV. 1-866-663-MY-TV.
Salutations, it's Marty Winston with a News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America. This time, the STM Bags Cape for Nexus 7. Now, we were very happy with the soft leather sleeve and separate easel we had for our Nexus 7. And STM Bags took about 10 seconds to get us to move on. Their cape, the little box says it's the superhero of tablet protection, not bad, has a hard back with a plastic edge groove the tablet snaps into, and a fold-away front cover with a tongue-through loop tab closure. So the front cover has 2 hard slats within it. You fold it back, and behind with the tab coming up into the loop to make it into a sweet little easel. You can also just flip the cover behind the tablet, and the whole thing is not much thicker nor much heavier than the tablet is when naked. So bottom line, the STM Cape gives our tablet much better protection and more self-contained versatility without adding much to its bulk. This is Marty Winston with a News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America.
Welcome back to the Computer America show. We have Rothbond here. We're talking all news stories that he finds throughout the week, throughout the month, and we're going over some of the highlights of the IFA. Last one was some Sony smart glasses, which Craig was already knocking, even though they are extremely beta.
Yeah.
Or maybe even alpha. They're definitely not for sale.
No.
And but just from looking at them, I can guarantee you that they will not be $1,500 like Google Glass.
No.
So maybe Sony's going for a cheaper alternative to Google Glass without the huge price tag associated with it. But yeah, not even available yet. But the next one, I believe, is a light bulb, right?
Well, it's actually a total lighting fixture, which is kind of...
Oh, it's the whole thing.
Yes. So that's part of what made it kind of interesting and why I grabbed it. Once again, friends, if you're looking at the show notes, I just took a few of the things that the PocketLint.com team found at the IFA show recently here. And this one's the Philips Hue, H-U-E, Beyond. Philips Hue Beyond. And it says it might seem like an oddity, as this is just lighting after all, but the Hue Beyond really impressed us. And if you have the show notes, you can see the picture. It's a very interesting looking lamp. Hue Beyond, rather than just being bulbs, are complete lamps. The nice thing about them is that they will create two-tone light color effects, bringing something distinct and unique to your room. There will be a table lamp, ceiling light, and pendant light, and they all look really good. So I thought that's kind of cool. I think that now what I do wonder about, what happens when the LED light aspect eventually goes kaput? Maybe it's, well, that's true. It may be a moot point. It may not be relevant. But I do like the idea of the color control and different effects and so forth. Could be a lot of fun.
I've always been I've always maintained that LED lighting is the light of the future. That eventually all of our lights will be LED lights. At first it was CFL, compact fluorescent lighting, but no, it's LED lights. They have the dimming. They have they use virtually very, very tiny little amounts of energy. They throw off a great deal of light, and now they've got the Kelvin, so you can get different color tones. And again, they last for like 100 years. So basically, you buy one bulb and that's the end of it. So I think LED lights, yeah.
Personally, if LED lights, I wish they would just kind of go out instead of slowly fading and fading and fading. Because I've noticed that they get really, really dim, and then like it takes you a while to realize that, hey, this light isn't as bright as it used to be, and then it takes about a little bit longer even then to say, okay, maybe I should replace the batteries, replace the light, what have you. But it's that very slow, gradual loss of light that I just don't like about it.
Well, yeah, and that's just the batteries. I have these glasses that have the two little LEDs in the temple, so you can see brightly, and they do, over a period of time, they dim. But that's not the fault of the LED. It's basically it's the batteries won't sustain it.
Okay, so if you plugged into like a continuous power source, like a light switch or something like that,
they last 100 years. Yeah, they last 100 years. You would never see that happening. Yeah,
well, good, because I didn't want to change the lights anyways.
Yeah.
I'll give you an LED story that's personal. During my time off, my sabbatical from Autodesk, which is coming to an end this week, but one of the things I wanted to do on my list of chores around the house was improve my garden lights. And I went to Home Depot. God bless Home Depot. God help them. They're going through a terrible thing like Target just did months ago now with the credit card, whatever stuff that's going on. God help them. I wish them the best. Anyway, went to Home Depot during the time period when I was fixing up my yard and bought LED Malibu brand garden floodlights. And Craig, to your point, holy smokes, even a little tiny one, maybe the size of a silver dollar or whatever as far as the surface goes, put out a tremendous amount of light. I was blown away. Cool to the touch, very powerful. And then I got a larger floodlight one that's just, I'm so impressed. I'm going to gradually replace all of my incandescents with this technology.
Well, again, they now have them so they're dimmable. That's to me
dimmable, right?
dimmable. They have them so they're not. You can get them bright, 5,000 Kelvin, which is white, but you can get 3,600 Kelvin. You can get the warm lights. They do have them now, and again they dim and what have you. And again, they use a fraction of the energy. So the only thing is that the cost is still up. But you and I both know that the cost of these bulbs are going to come down, and especially if you have bulbs like in a really inaccessible place that they're hard to get to.
Yes.
I mean, can you imagine? I mean, that's one of the first things that I'm going to change. The bulbs that are almost impossible to get to, I'm going to replace those with LED bulbs, and you don't have to worry about that ever again. So to me, that makes it worth it.
That's very cool. You've inspired me, because in my home theater has this kind of, because of the way the remodel was done, very, very high kind of cathedral ceiling configuration, and I have these can lights, flush to the ceiling lights, and I've got one that's burned out. It's been burned out for months because I just, I have to go get the little giant ladder, and I got to extend it all the way, clamber up there, and and I just haven't done it. So I think now I'm going to go and replace all of those with LED
You'll never have to do it again.
Floodlights.
Yeah, you never have to do it again.
Great idea. I'm definitely going to do that. Anyway, to finish up with what PocketLint.com saw at the IFA show, or IFA show, the last item that I selected from their list was the Dyson, of course, the famous brand, Dyson 360i.
We did this story on this, but this is.
Oh, you did? Okay, so we'll go through this pretty quick. But I thought of you because aren't you a Roomba fan, Craig? It seems to be.
No, I would like the Roomba. I was very disappointed in the Roomba, but anything where you could get something that would do it and do it effectively, and this certainly looks like it would do it.
Well, and Dyson has a pretty good track record for engineering. So it says Dyson has been slow to get into the robotic vacuum cleaner game, but that is because it has been developing a system that works well. That's what it says. So that's interesting, and I think you're right. Their engineering reputation is pretty strong. The picture that's in the show notes, it is kind of a cool-looking thing. Yep. It says the difference over all its competitors is that the cleaner features a 360-degree camera on the top that can see where it's going rather than relying on infrared sensors. It should mean the system is much more efficient. Isn't that interesting? With the same sucking power as its cordless DC-59 and the promise of being able to control it all via an app, I presume probably on a smartphone or what have you, or tablet, the 360i has a lot going for it. So again, these are just little teaser stories. Go out to the show notes, get the link, go out and see all the other things that the guys at PocketLint.com saw at this recent Consumer Electronics Show, and I think you'll find it really a fun kind of exploration of some of the things coming up in the near future.
All right, cool, and it does. It looks really nice, and again, the tracking technique that they're going to use is supposed to be pretty darn good. And as you say, Dyson makes some really nice stuff. Okay, let's continue on now. How many of you remember the TiVo?
It's still around.
It's still around, yeah. Evidently now they're coming out with a TiVo Mega. This is a rack-mounted digital DVR with 6 tuners and 24 terabytes. You must really love TV for this thing. This is huge.
Yeah, this is from a really interesting website, ARS Technica. So ARS and then Technica.com. Story by Lee Hutchinson. And if you have the show notes, once again, the link is there. You see the picture of this rack-mountable thing. This is like a DVR on mega ultra steroids, right? This is really, and that's why immediately I jumped on it, because I thought it was just fascinating. I would be interested in your thoughts, guys, on where you see the application for this, but let me go through the story first here. It says, this morning, which happened to be September the 8th when this was published, great granddaddy DVR manufacturer TiVo announced that the company is aiming big with its next DVR, the TiVo Mega, with a release date currently scheduled for the first quarter of 2015. So obviously they're not concerned about holiday shopping this year. The Mega will come in a 10-bay, 19-inch rack mount enclosure that appears to be 4U tall, judging from the PR images from the press kit.
Right.
It says the Mega's bays will be filled with hard drives in a RAID 5 array yielding 24 terabytes of storage. The press release doesn't say what drive types or capacities are used, but some quick RAID math shows that if all 10 bays are populated, the Mega unit likely uses 3 terabyte drives, which would give it roughly 25 terabytes of usable space before TiVo software is loaded. The Mega does everything TiVo's flagship Romeo DVR does. It just does it does a lot more of it. So it's just again on steroids. The device has 6 tuners, and can send content to TiVo mini devices to send content to multiple rooms. It also comes with a lifetime subscription to TiVo service. According to the TiVo press announcement, 24 terabytes of DVR space works out to about 26,000 hours of recorded standard content, standard definition, thank you, or 4,000 hours of HD. The price for all this capacity is pretty steep, no surprise. TiVo hasn't yet settled on a final dollar figure, but it estimates the device will cost approximately $5,000 when it's available in the first quarter of 2015. So now I stop. Who's going to use this, guys? What do you think?
Yeah, you know who this is for. This is for the guys who have the big home theaters, sort of like what you have, Ralph, basically, and they're tired of, having, stacks and stacks of Blu-ray discs, and they have to, now they can just get it and load it on the DVR and call it up, and you can have a huge library available at any time, and that's what I see. And of course, not only the theater, but of course it also has this distribution technology. DirecTV calls it whole home, basically where you have the one unit and then all the other units slave off of it. So you only use the one master unit, and then not have to worry about the. So that's who I see that's going to be using this.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering maybe with your little units feeding off of a master, maybe in smaller scale bed and breakfasts or hotels, smaller scale motels maybe it could be applicable there. There might be business uses, I suppose, of some sort.
How many tuners did it say it had? 6?
6 tuners.
Okay, so yeah, for a small hotel or bed and breakfast, something like that.
Yeah, it could be. I don't know. It's fun. It's interesting for them to put it out. Possibly it's a kind of a publicity stunt kind of product, maybe just to get attention. On the other hand, it might have some real viable use in certain business situations, and let alone the, if you're an NFL superstar, you might have this for all your football games that you record and that sort of thing.
We've had the DVR for a while, and I've had to delete some of my favorites. Either delete or we replaced it. Like I had the original Super Bowl played when Janet Jackson had her.
Incident.
Yeah, I had that on. Got deleted. I had every year I would order BlizzCon, and I would record that.
Yeah.
And that'd be a good 48 hours of content. But just special events like that you can keep with this much storage, you could keep forever. You could keep that 3-year-old Jay Leno monologue that you keep telling yourself, I'm gonna finish this tonight, but you never do it. You don't have to worry about deleting it. You can keep it. Doesn't matter.
Well, I've got an answer for you. A low cost, relatively speaking, $250 answer. Had the same problem. Now my wife, God bless her, is a college football fan, crazy person. And because my daughter went to the University of Oregon, number 2 in the nation at the moment, and I stress at the moment, we record all the Duck football games. So we've got year after year after year, and was on the DVR, and just like you said, Ben, we reached a point, of course, we've got to either make heartbreaking decisions. Do we delete this game, somehow put it on discs or something? Oh, messy, nasty, right? Burning DVDs, ugh. So I found I think the product company is ADS is the brand name, and it's basically a little box. You buy your own hard drive to put in it, and you can use the component, blue, green, red, right? And you can patch it into your DVR. And my DVR has that output along with HDMI, and it sends a signal to both at the same time. It doesn't care. And you piggyback this to this little external box. Again, you can go buy a 1 terabyte, 2 terabyte, whatever capacity drive you want to pop it in, close it up, and you hit record on this guy, play on the DVR, and I've now got this archive of our football games. Now, never mind we hardly ever watch them. That's not the point. The point is my wife knows that powerful USC versus the Ducks game at God knows what year is somewhere, and it just makes her a happy person, and I'm here to make her happy. And that's one way to do it, guys, when you're facing that problem of building up your DVR, because DVRs, the ones you get from Comcast, or in my case from Frontier, which bought out Verizon in my area, are pitifully small capacity, right?
Yeah.
They're really small, and there are a lot of secondhand, or not secondhand websites, websites that deal with how to replace the hard drive inside of your DVRs.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, technically, in your terms of service with your cable company, you promise to not open up and tamper with your equipment. But I mean, let's face it, when you have that small storage capacity, you kind of want to break it open and put a new hard drive in. So, I mean, for one that doesn't violate your terms of service, I mean, the solution that you just described sounds a whole lot better than $5,000 worth of equipment.
I'll tell you what, Ben, and there's more, because it's an extremely simple little box. You flip it over, you open up a little tailgate, you take your little hard drive out, and then I have little adapter connector guys that have USB at one end and the little connector for the drive. No, nothing exotic there. I walk upstairs to my home theater, plug it into my PC, and access all my football games up there on the big screen if I want to, and then go back downstairs to the family room where we have our master DVR and all that sort of stuff. I mean, it is the brand is ADS. I know that that's the brand. I'm looking here online trying to find the name of the product, because I think a lot of people I talk to have this really problem where they have their DVRs full. But wait, these are important shows, or I want to share these shows with my friends, or what do you do? And, I don't see, what really burns my nuggets is the thought that the Comcast and all these people simply won't look, I'm not trying to steal anything. I don't want to resell this stuff. But, let me offload it to an external drive easily. Oh, no, I'm sorry, Ralph, you can't do that. Well, I finally, after months of dinking around, found this product, bought it, tried it out, and it works. So I'll try to get that link for you guys.
Yeah, what did you pay for it?
The little unit was, I think, $250. I got it on Amazon.com, if I recall right. Oh. And the brand name is ADS, all caps. A as in apple, D as in dog, S as in Sam, and I just wish I could remember the product name. It's not in front of me right now, but maybe Google around or go on Amazon and check it out and see what comes up, because I can tell you it works. So long as your DVR has the red, green, blue component out, you just get a patch, a cable, male-to-male cable thing, and plug it into the back of this other little guy, and it's as stupid as hitting record over here and play over there.
There you go. All right. Well, now this next story, story 17, I don't know.
Yeah.
I know it's technology, it's interesting, but, I'm kind of categorized. I mean, when you go to you go to the dry cleaner and you get your suit done, and you spend about $35, $40 your suit dry cleaned. Typical. That's usually around somewhere around that. Yeah, professionally dry clean. Well, I guess that adds up after a while. Maybe after 10, 15, 20 visits to the dry cleaner, you've spent a lot of money. Well, evidently you have found a dry cleaning machine that fits inside your closet for $500.
Yeah. Okay. So.
Okay.
Of course, it's a little hard for me to relate to the story, because as a home worker, a guy who works from his house, I'm usually in my PJs for most of the day, or a T-shirt. Who cares? I just throw it in the laundry. It doesn't matter. But for professional people who have to look nice, maybe they're wearing shirts and so forth, dress shirts, and women, blouses and that sort of thing, and dry cleaning costs can be very high. So this is a story I picked up from Wired.com, a story by Kyle Van Hermit, and I thought this was really an interesting story. Again, $500 dry cleaning machine that fits in your closet. You really need the show notes, folks, to see the picture of the product. It's actually a pretty attractive little product. I think it's pretty cool.
Looks nice, and it's very thin. It's very small,
Well, you could kind of say, get ready to check this off, Ben. You could almost say, what if Apple were to design this product? It has that kind of nice Apple-esque like look to it in terms of elegance. So the device, it shows this kind of very slender vertical box-like device with a pulled-out drawer, and you see a woman's blouse on a hanger, and obviously you're going to push it back in and do its magic thing. So let me read the story to you. It says, And again, the story from Wired.com, it says, re-wearing, re-wearing, as they call it in the laundry business, is on the rise. We, the clothes-owning populace, are getting hip to the fact that our garments typically aren't all that dirty after a day's wear, and we're increasingly comfortable wearing them a second time without throwing them in the wash. Well, that's so very true. It certainly is for me, because I'm hardly doing calisthenics all day and getting my clothes soaked with perspiration, so why not? The laundry business has studies to confirm this, by the way. Still, not every garment you peel off the top of the laundry basket will be ready to go. They might be wrinkled. They might not smell fresh. Hence, this product called Swash, S-W-A-S-H, a novel laundry machine that lives in your bedroom and freshens up previously worn garments one at a time. So it is a one at a time kind of deal. The project is a collaboration between Procter & Gamble, maker of Tide and Bounty, and among other laundry detergents, of course, and Whirlpool. So these are two serious mass consumer companies, right? Procter & Gamble and Whirlpool. It's a slim stand-up machine, a little bit bigger than a man's suit jacket. So again, the pictures in the show notes will show you this. You pull out a little vertical drawer, put a garment on a hanger, and attach some clips at the bottom to pull it taut. Pop in a pod of special cleaning solution, and off it goes. Now, that's where you see Procter & Gamble's interested, because they're going to sell you the little cleaning solution pods, okay? It says, in 10 minutes, your not quite fresh shirt is fresh. Once again, one has to imagine it will be hard to sell the average clothes wearer on Swash. It doesn't truly clean soiled clothes, and it can't get out stains. At $7 per 12 pods, you have to pay just over 50 cents per garment on top of the price of the appliance itself. And yet, maybe the conditions for a new type of washing machine are right. Young people are increasingly settling in cities, and water is indeed becoming scarcer. And as Grief, which is one of the developers that's quoted in the full article, points out, there are 40 billion re-wear occasions annually in the U.S. alone. How in the world they figured that number out, who knows? That's a lot of wrinkled, kind of funky clothes. And you know, it was late in my life that I learned the true meaning of the word funky. It's something that smells bad. I thought it was like groovy hip music. I guess it's that too, but it's sort of like bad is good.
I can completely see this, and you know, I know next to nothing about Asian cultures, but I know in China and stuff like that, people get these apartments. They're very, very small. Good luck fitting a washer dryer combo in there at all. And I know that, you know, something like this, for someone who has to have something in their house and, you know, be clean, you know, good, you know, sharp dressed and everything like that for work, something like this would be helpful in that situation.
I'll tell you where I think this will sell. See if you guys agree with me. Very upscale hotels that cater to a business clientele. Imagine you check into this room, you see this thing, and it says, oh, Mr. or Ms. Business Person, you've got a shirt that you'd like to freshen up. You know, the room service charge for the little pod that you need to put in this thing is $1 or whatever it is, charged to your room. And it could be a really cool thing. Seriously, I think this, if you look at the picture, can't you just see that in an upscale hotel?
Better than hanging your shirt in your bathroom while you take a shower.
Exactly. I've done it.
Hey,
mainly to get the wrinkles out.
We're almost out of time. By the way, looking at Ben's background view, you can see his dog Zach is floating on the river. You can see because he's moving, so it tries to bring him into the picture. So he's actually he's on the canal. He's on the canal.
And also, periodically, I have seen pedestrians on the walkway of Venice appear in his forehead, which has really been kind of cool too.
Hey, Ralph, we're almost out of time. Tell me what you're doing over at Autodesk. I know you've been.
Oh gosh, well, like I say, I've been off for 6 magnificent weeks and had a wonderful trip to Ireland for the first 10 days of that cycle, which has been great. The rest of the time, I've been around the house. I've been digitizing old family movies,
Yeah.
which I had transferred from VHS to digital tape many years ago. Now I'm taking those digital tapes and getting them onto the computer as ultimately MPEG-4 files and organizing this and getting it all set up to go. My goal, guys, is to get all of my family videos, all of them, digitized,
90
stored
seconds.
on higher capacity SD cards, and safely put away in the safe deposit box. So that's one of my goals that I'm working on. It'll take several years to do it, but I'm on that path.
At least you're on the path. Well, Ralph, listen, I want to thank you so much for being with us here tonight. Of course, you're going to stay with us in our Google Hangouts for the after show, and we'll see you again next month in October, back at the I guess the standard time and the standard place, right, on the second Friday of every
60
month.
seconds.
You got it.
Now, tomorrow night, we're going to have Gene Steinberg is going to be with us. Yes, our Apple expert. Gene is going to be talking about all the events that happened on this past Tuesday with Apple Computing, about the new Apple Watch, the new iPhone 6 and the iPhone 6 Plus. We're going to talk about Apple Pay, all the new features. It's going to be a great show, and he's going to be here with us for both hours. If you're interested in Apple, you really should be with us tomorrow night. I mean, we're going to really cover it and take a really close analysis.
We're going to get it out of Craig's system.
Yes, and get it out of my system. So we'll see you tomorrow night. Thank you so much for being with us here tonight. So until tomorrow night, this is Craig Crossman hoping that your hard disk never becomes floppy. We'll see you tomorrow night.
10 seconds.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
All right, everybody. Thanks for being here with us, and again, thanks, Ralph. And I guess we're going to be seeing you next month. That's on the 10th of October. That's
You got it. Be great.
We'll see you there. And thanks again, everybody, for watching the show. Brought to you by Otherworld Computing, and we'll see you tomorrow night. All right. So say good night to everybody.
Bye, folks.
Bye, folks.
Goodbye, Vic.